What is up, guys? NinjaNick333, and we are back with another round of Japan's Champions League here in the E-Block standard format with Scarlet and Violet Legal. It's really nice on their live stream. They've actually divided up where all the matches are, it looks like. This is day one of the tournament. It is a 2-day tournament. Works a lot like one of our regionals. They do 9 rounds of Swiss day 1, I believe 5 rounds of Swiss day 2, and then a cut to top 16 as opposed to our cut to top 8, which I do like a lot better. It feels a little more fair. Looks like they are doing the interview with the player who won the previous round, but we can just skip right ahead to where the next game is. So that is very convenient. Let me just make sure I don't go too far. So we are going to start up here. Looks like we are Shadow Rider versus Lost Box. So this will be somewhat interesting. Yes, we do see that it is another round 1 game with 25 minutes on the clock here. Yes, I do believe that I saw a little bit of this match. This was during the night before Knoxville Regionals, I believe. We were watching a little bit of this right before we went to bed when we got tired of play testing. So Shadow Rider attaches an energy for turn and benches a Wordeer. The Wordeer is a card that is already out. It does extra damage based on the amount of energy that are on it, I do believe. We're going to see Comfey do Comfey things. They're just going to use some switch cards. They do not have access to Scoop Up Net anymore. That does rotate. So you're more reliant on having multiple Comfeys in play, and you have to play like 4 switch carts, 4 escape rope in these lists, generally speaking. So let me see if we can see what this Wordeer does. Yeah, I believe it's 40 times the amount of basic energy on it, or just base or energy whatsoever. Let me see. Let me open up TCG Player so I can search this. I'm just using TCG Player as my search. This is where I get all the Pokemon cards for the thumbnails as well as TCG Player. They have really good scans. Yes, Wordeer V. Frontier Road. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to the active, you can move any amount of energy from your other Pokemon to it, and does 40 damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon. So that's not energy cards, that is energy, so a double turbo would count as 2. It would still do the reduced by 20. Looks like we also see the Giratina come down here, and it is going to use its first attack, which allows, it's very much like Colress's Experiment. It allows you to look at the top 4 cards of your deck and choose 2 to Lost Zone and 2 to put in your hand. So we have a couple of these Giratinas here. If you don't recognize the artwork, that is, I believe, from a tin in our area, our neck of the woods, but Japan has a lot of like reprint sets all the time. So this was from one of their reprint sets. They don't get like tins and stuff like we do. It's just all booster boxes, really. We are going to see the Shadow Rider VMAX come down. That is a card that has not been played or playable in any way, shape, or form in a long time. But you can attach, it allows you to attach a Psychic Energy extra from your hand to one of your Pokemon once per turn, and if you do draw 3 cards, we're also going to see another basic Shadow Rider come down, and a Nest Ball will allow us to search our deck and bench a basic Pokemon directly from the deck. We are going to get a Ralts, so this will likely have that same Gardevoir being played in it. Just like in the previous round, you're going to have the Curlia that allows you to discard a card and draw 2, and also you're going to have the Gardevoir that allows you to see the top 2 cards of your deck, attach whatever energies that are there to your Pokemon, and then keep the others in hand. Or we're going to see the Gardevoir EX, which is being shown on screen now. I do have to remember what that one does as well here. Oh, right, I can't look that one up on TCG Player. It's bringing up, like, fairy type ones. So, as often as you like during your turn, you may attach a basic Psychic Energy from your discard to one of your Psychic Pokemon. If you attached energy to a Pokemon this way, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. You cannot use this if it would knock that Pokemon out. And then it does 190 and recovers from all special conditions with the attack. But anyways, we are back to Lost Box's turn. The Lost Lugia. Lost Giratina. I don't know why I said Lugia. We are Ultra Balling, discarding a Manaphy and a Colress's Experiment, it looks like. We have quite a few cards in the Lost Zone already from this Lost Zone deck. It's really interesting to see exactly how many cards you can still Lost Zone with Scoop Up Net no longer being legal. No, I think maybe we played the Colress's Experiment per turn and I was just too busy looking at the Gardevoir. Also, the Full Art Gardevoir looks really good. The Bulbapedia page has the Full Art as the art right now. So, looks like we are going to be able to Mirage Gate. We do have enough in the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think we have 8 or 9 actually in the Lost Zone. It's really hard to tell because of the glare. Oh, it's actually on screen. It's right behind my head. I apologize for that. There is a count of 8 in the Lost Zone. So they are putting that on screen here. I guess because it matters in this matchup, it didn't matter in the previous matchup, so why bother putting it on the screen? I do apologize that I'm blocking that a little bit, but again, this side is where it is best for me to not block the timer. We want to make sure we see that timer. That's pretty important. We do have 9 cards in the Lost Zone here now due to the flower selecting. We're 1 away from being able to attack with a Sableye, which is really crazy because this is only the 2nd turn for this player. You can really stack up a lot of extra cards in the Lost Zone if you want to play like heavy tool cards and using Lost Vacuum. But we are going to go for the Mirage Gate now. That will allow us to search our deck for 2 basic energies and attach them to our Pokemon in any way we like. They do have to be different colors is the only caveat there. So we are likely going to be loading up one of these Giratina Vs. And I would like to see the evolution into the VMAX. As soon as you get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone, the V-Star power attack for Giratina V-Star becomes active, and it just is very much like the Evital with Amazing Destruction, the amazing rare Evital. It does just knock out your opponent's active. But again, it is an effect of an attack, so you do have to be wary of Big Parasol should your opponent be playing that. Looks like we do not see the evolution yet. We may not have that. Looks like we are going to attach a Water Energy and Retreat. Looks like going into the next Comfey. That will put us at 10 cards in the Lost Zone. Do we have Giratina V-Star and a way to switch like a switch card? Looks like we are going to Lost Zone a Mirage Gate. So we are at 10 cards in the Lost Zone now. Yep, and the judge is just verifying it as well. So we do see an evolution onto the Giratina that has no energy on it. And it looks like maybe just a pass for turn. Must have not had a way to move that Comfey, because I would not see any reason why not to go in for the knockout on this VMAX and be aggressive. You're not really threatened by being knocked out, so you could always knock out the active and still have your regular attack to Lost Zone the 2 energy and hit for, what is it, 280 anyway? So we are going to use the ability of the Shadow Rider to attach a Psychic and draw 3. We evolve to the Curlia to discard a card, draw 2. So lots of ways to draw in these Psychic decks these days. So this is something to look forward to if you are a fan of Psychic Pokemon. If you are a fan of Gardevoir, like me, Gardevoir and Gallade are both a couple of my favorite Pokemon. So I'm very interested to see a deck that can utilize one or either of those. I was very much a fan of both the Mega Gardevoir decks back in the day. I was very much a fan of the Mega Gallade deck, even though it was absolute crap. But I was undefeated in League with it for like 3 weeks. So that was hilarious. And yeah, I've always loved the Premonition Gallade. I would Maxie's that out into play. And I love the new Iron Valiant. I can't wait to see us get a card for that. I hope it's good. But not too good, because a lot of basic Pokemon these days are too powerful, and I would like to see a more evolution-centric, a more, yeah, like the EXs. I would like to see this EX format develop, being with a lot of stage 2s and stage 1s that are better for attackers. So we are going to use the Fog Crystal, allow us to search our deck for a Psychic Energy here. We are doing our, what I call, Japan Shuffle, also known as the Yu-Gi-Oh! Shuffle. If you ever saw the Yu-Gi-Oh! Players in the anime shuffle their deck, they do just cut a whole bunch of times like that. Yeah, even the Judge Shuffle is that, which is kind of funny. They are doing a mash in the middle, though, too. So maybe they are being a little more harsh on shuffling these days. So there is the cut there. I would like to see him keep that card tapped a little bit. We are using what I believe is an attach for turn and an attack, which will knock out that Comfey, and passes on here. So this is this player's turn 3. We are likely going to see that Giratina VSTAR now. Yes, we do see the evolution. We have it. One turn later than I would have liked to see it. However, if you don't have the ability to move that Comfey, what are you going to do? So we are at 10 cards in the Lost Zone. We can go for the VSTAR power. I'm sorry that I forget what these card names do. I usually rely on reading it on the stream. These cards are all written in Japanese, and again, I cannot read it. I'm very excited to go to Japan for Worlds. I'm really hoping that I can swing it. I think I might be able to afford it, and if I don't, my dad kind of wants to go back to Japan, because he did go as kind of like an exchange student program during his senior year of high school. So he actually knows his way around Yokohama and Tokyo and all that. So, since he's done it all before, but of course back in like the 80s. So, it's been 30 years for him. But I would just love to go there, because that's such like a big thing from like my dad's childhood essentially. And I would just love to see Japan for what it is. It's like the only place that like I would love to go visit as a tourist, and Pokemon just gives me such a good reason to go there. Flights are really expensive, but I have found flights that are about $500 cheaper than I was originally expecting. And I do have about $300 in fly credits on my credit card right now. So I can definitely swing it and make it work should I have to. So we're going to see the Nest Ball here to get the Radiant Greninja down onto the bench. We also saw, it looks like, another Mirage Gate and attach for turn to get the second Giratina fully powered up. We're going to bench yet another Giratina after using concealed cards. And we're going to use our VSTAR power to knock out our opponent's active Pokemon. Since it is a VMAX Pokemon, we are going to take 3 prize cards. Looks like since this is the secondary stream, this is the second... we don't have the prize cam like we did in the other game, right? I do prefer it this way. I do like seeing the prize cards just sitting in play. I don't necessarily need to know what's in their prize cards. It is nice knowing them for commentary purposes, but these players in Japan don't generally check prize cards like that. It's not as big of a deal just because they're playing best of one, so whatever's in your prize cards is whatever's in your prize cards. You're going to either win this game or you're going to lose it. You just got to go for the play that you got to go for. And they don't really have the time to check for them anyway because they only have 25 minutes. Players in Japan do play fairly fast. We do see the Gardevoir EX come out finally. So we are going to see if we are able to accelerate any of those psychic energies back into play. You can accelerate to yourself as the Gardevoir, so I would like to see that. Unless, I think the Shadow Rider, does it need 3 energy to attack? I can't remember. I didn't really play during Shadow Rider format, so. Can't really tell what that card is. Is that a research? Yep, looks like a Rowan research. So We're going to discard our hand and draw 7. So this is a kind of a cool deck. You have the Shadow Rider to attach Psychic Energy from hand and draw cards. Then you have the Kirlia to also draw cards. Then you have the Gardevoir EX to attach energy from the discard pile. So you got energy acceleration. Excuse me. From both hand and from discard. And a lot of different options to be able to just draw into more cards. The Shadow Rider draws you cards. The Kirlia draws you cards. The Shadow Rider accelerates energy, the Gardevoir accelerates energy. So it makes sense why you would pair these two together, but it is quite a lot going in the same deck. You have a full Stage 2 line along with a Stage 1 line. Makes it a little more clunky, whereas this Giratina deck is only one Stage 1 line, and then just basics from there. And at any point also, that Wordier, if there is a switch card, can switch the Wordier in, and then he can move as many energies that are in play to the Wordier and take a big knockout. So if we are able to knock out the first Giratina and then live, then we would be able to potentially just clean up with maybe a Wordier. I do know that the Shadow Rider also does damage based on the Psychic Energy in play. Looks like we've done 130 here. But if you get damaged on your 3 prize Pokemon, it would be better to... Of course, it pauses here. It would be better to then switch into the 2 prize Pokemon. Make sure that your opponent does not take the final 3 prize cards. You'd rather them take a 2 prize knockout and then be forced to finish off a V Max Pokemon after that. Looks like we just failed a Nest Ball, just to thin that card out of the hand. We have quite a lot of cards in hand right now. We do see the new Beach Court, I believe it's called. Which makes retreat costs of basic Pokemon 1 colorless less. So it allows your Comfeys to free retreat, basically. We are going to Lost Zone 2 of our own energy cards, which will do 280 damage to this VMAX. And now, if we can get another Mirage Gate and attach for a turn, we may be able to see a knockout get cleaned up from this Greninja. Even if that... even if the VMAX goes to the bench, I do believe that the Greninja will be doing enough to take the knockout. And for good measure, you can also knock out the Ralts and take a 4 prize turn. So I would like to see Mirage Gate, although we've seen 2 Mirage Gates already get played. And I know there's at least 1 in the Lost Zone, so it's highly unlikely that we're going to be able to see another Mirage Gate, especially since we're just so low on energy too at this point. That is not a very large deck from the player on the right here either. Yeah, 14 in the Lost Zone if you guys cared to check on that. Quite a lot. We are going to see the Pokegear, search our top 7 for a supporter card. Would really love to see VS Seeker come back. I thought that that made plays a lot more skilled. And gave you a lot more room in deck building. Looks like we are shuffling. Man, shuffling the deck here. Man, the drive to and from Knoxville being like 14 hours, man, that really took a lot out of all of us. My friend Alan has been dead all week, so have I. I keep yawning. I know it's like midnight for me, but normally I'm up till like 3 a.m., so the fact that I'm this tired is worrisome. But then again, I'm always tired. So we are going to see the retreat here into the Gardevoir. The Gardevoir will be able to take the knockout here because it does do 190 damage. The only unfortunate thing here is that there is a There is another Giratina here, all ready to attack and go, so. Also, I just realized we have 2 Trainer Gallery Gardevoirs. We have one with Diantha, that's the refinement one, and then we have the new the other Gardevoir that allows you to draw 2 and attach Psychic Energies. So it looks like we are going to Boss's Orders, bring up that VMAX, and just win the game here. So, hope you guys enjoyed. This was pretty one-sided, it felt like, again, just because it took so much setup for the Shadow Rider. And that is the match. So, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Remember to feed that hungry YouTube algorithm. You don't want him to starve. And we will see you guys next time for the first match of round 2.